Just finished. According to Big Nose Kate, I don't have the book with me, but to me, I felt like at first it was more like a textbook than like a normal book, like a novel. It was just, it was absolutely loaded with information that I did not have before about Big Nose Kate and Doc Holliday's relationship and her relationship with the Earps, or their lack of, and all of her travels. I did not realize they traveled so much via train slash horse and buggy. Like I could not imagine driving horse and buggy from like Colorado to Tombstone, Arizona. To me, I feel like we today are so lucky and so privileged to have cars and have entertainment on the road trips and whatnot. I couldn't imagine how long it would take, and the things that you would just have to deal with, and then the hotels that you would have stayed with back then had like either one bathroom, if they had plumbing inside, one bathroom for like the entire set of rooms they have on each floor, or just an outhouse. And to think today we like have to like pack all our bags and have like a set plan. And I feel like Kate and Doc Holliday just got up and go with the wind back then. And then Kate, it's more of a book about Kate, really, in her earlier years, how she went from Kate Elder to Kate Fisher to Mrs. Doc Holliday, and there's no real record, I guess, saying if they got married or not. And like I said, like her relationship with Wyatt Earp is in there, and her accounts from the OK Corral shooting, and then how her and Doc Holliday was like, they weren't like together all the time, but they were always had each other's backs. And then he was perfectly fine of how she made money, and didn't like scold her for it and stayed with her anyways, which wouldn't happen nowadays, but fair. And then a little bit over her older years, sorry, my doggy came, she stayed in a home in Tombstone. Oh no, it was Prescott, Arizona. Like, she spent a lot of time in Globe as a working girl, and then she went back and forth between Tombstone because that's where Doc Holliday was. And then she went to Prescott and married a second husband after Doc Holliday died, and switched her name to Mary, and then used that name to get into like an old folks home, what we today would call an old folks home. And the letters and everything, the way she was writing it down, that was post-century, like in the 1900s. After that point, she was like well into her 80s, and she was writing back and forth between like the boss of the town back then, of how the matron was like horrible and treating them all bad. But it also shows you pictures of all the different landscapes of the area back then, and then it shows you a picture of her grave, which does not have the name Kate anywhere on it. It says Mary, her name that she came up with to I guess hide her identity. And it's really a nice way of perspective, especially if you like that history. And like me, I'm kind of obsessed with like Tombstone and the Wyatt Earp Doc Holliday history, but to read it from a different perspective, because I knew who Kate was, obviously, but you don't hear about her from her own words, and then this book gives you that. So according to Big Nose Kate, and the author is Chris something, but it is either available on Amazon or I got it at Barnes & Noble. According to Big Nose Kate, a lot of history, a lot of Arizona history, and her whole life stories in it. Get to read.